Everyone, I'm going to make a video on hyperfixations and what happens in the time in between when you don't actually have a hyperfixation, like how depression and loneliness and really bad feelings always come up when you find yourself without a particular hyperfixation for people who have hyperfixations. Um, Also, I'm just trying to make more videos, so I'm going to try to post more videos on my channel now, hopefully, so that YouTube maybe becomes a hyperfixation for me and it can distract me, and I can probably even make maybe friends through YouTube or do something interesting through YouTube that would benefit my life long term or something, because I find myself without social connections and I have no way to actually make social connections, so I am trying as hard as I can with whatever I have, which in this case is YouTube. Um, Also, yeah, I just can't wait until AI can, or some kind of technology could help me to get like better filters so I could like filter and look all nice. It's funny that when people talk about like lighting and making the proper lighting, everybody's like, oh, they need like bright lights, and you have all these kind of and for me the proper lighting would be actually really dark so no one can see me. But anyway, all right. So I wanted to like reflect on, like hyperfixations are a thing and people talk about them more and more and more. You hear people talk about hyperfixations. And just like a lot of different things in society, you think like, oh, it's on the rise. Like people with hyperfixations are on the rise. People with autism are on the rise, and so on. I wonder if it is true that they're on the rise, or if like this idea that we have about hyperfixation is just the result of the fact that we're so bored. Like in the past, they actually had like lots of community, and then they had lots of hard work, and they had like things to do every morning, like you have to get up and get that milk from the cow or whatever it is they were doing. They had so much to do, so they would never be able to be totally bored enough to have to hyperfixate on something mentally, right? But now we don't, so we have to. So more and more people are experiencing this sort of phenomenon where we always have something that occupies our mind, and we need that sort of extra thing. We need this hyperfixation, right? And then it makes me think like, if it is just a result of that technology got good and we are lucky that we don't have anything to do, so therefore we can we have to hyperfixate, then it like makes me think a little bit about yin and yang. Like we now have so much time, we're lucky, so we can hyperfixate. But are these hyperfixations what we really want to be doing? Does it really give us, well, if you really think about what hyperfixation is, it is like you mentally chasing dopamine, right? Because it's like you find something that slightly makes you happy. Somehow you look around, you find something that makes you happy, and then that gives you dopamine. So your brain just picks up on that and it thinks about it all the time. It has this sort of reoccurring sort of OCD effect where you're thinking about that thing all the time. So you have to go back to that thing, because that thing made you happy, right? But in the past, if you say, oh, people were less prone to hyperfixation because they had stuff to do, they had community, they had work and stuff like that, they would have been getting dopamine from community, from actual exercise, from doing things. And that type of dopamine is probably much better, as at least I think the science says dopamine from exercise and so on is much better than it would be from, things like semi addictions, which I think a hyperfixation is. It's a sort of mental addiction that we have, right? So, and I think it's also funny and interesting how all these words connect. Like, we can say, oh, you have a hyperfixation. That's a word that we use for like this process of going back to something. But you can also look at it from a total different perspective and use the word OCD. Oh, okay, you're OCD, your brain is OCD. It goes back, and then some people talk about it through the lens of ADHD. Like you can't control what you think about or how often. You don't have this filter, and so on and so on. So like it seems like when you think about psychology and the brain and all these different theories and stuff, and I see this like as a reoccurring theme, there are like a million different theories and ways and words and like stuff to talk about the exact same thing, and it just depends on the angle at which you're looking at it through. So one person could call it hyperfixation, another person could call it limerence if it's on a person. Another person could call it like just like, yeah, ADHD or OCD. Okay, you have OCD, so you have to do this thing over, So yeah, and I was thinking, yeah, about the yin and yang, in that, like, we are so lucky now that we have time to relax and do nothing, so that we get so bored mentally that we end up hyperfixating. But if we don't hyperfixate, what we have left is like depression, loneliness. Oh my God, the world is the worst ever. And you have this sort of, terrible lows. But also, even with hyperfixation, because it's a kind of addiction anyway, you don't have this sort of stable dopamine that you should have. It's a kind of, up and down thing, which is miserable in any case. So yeah, on the one hand, we're lucky that we don't have to get up and milk those cows, and that we don't have to live with our brother, sister, mother, uncle, aunt, grandmother, whatever. But on the other hand, we're unlucky, because the consequence of not having that thing that we hate, which is work or people, is that we end up so alone that we, as a society wide, develop all these symptoms and all these things like hyperfixations, and we have to deal with that. And so yeah, like I said in the beginning, this video is just, I wanted to talk also about like the fact that, what do you do when you don't have a hyperfixation? Like, when sometimes a hyperfixation might be unhealthy, like if you're shopping too much or whatever because you're hyperfixated on, and then you say, okay, you have to stop. So you have to pick something else, because you know that your brain like will not recover unless you have this hyperfixation, right? So what do you do? The problem is that usually how it works is that your brain on its own sort of scans the environment and looks for something that would potentially bring you some measure of joy. You pick up on it, like it gives you a boost of joy, you pick up on it, and it's not something you can choose or have control over. So, but if you have to, and then you give up an old, or your brain just naturally gives up a past hyperfixation, and you're in this phase where you have to choose something, this is really depressing, because I feel like for me it's a stage of depression, it's a stage of loneliness, it's a stage where, because your brain doesn't have something to think about, all of the terrible feelings sort of resurface, and then you have to think about how the world is, and just everything negative, whether it's you yourself who have like self-worth issues, how depressing life is, how lonely life is, how much you or little you accomplished, all the ways in which you were rejected, all the ways in which you didn't get what you want or whatever. And I know that's stupid, you should also think about the good things, but the truth is that I don't know why, when your brain doesn't have anything to think about, it's prone to go into this phase of thinking about negative things, about depression, and then also about what you don't have. And in my case, that would be, for me, it would be like a loneliness feeling. So when I think about what I don't have, I think, oh, I'm lonely. I don't have friends. I don't have friendships. I don't have community. I don't have anybody in my life who cares about me. And so I go into a stage of loneliness. And usually what helps me, the thing that I could use against that, is usually some sort of hyperfixation, something that my brain sort of focuses on and says, okay, you're into this now, and you're going to learn everything about that thing. And once you're doing that, you have something to do, so you're occupied. You're not like, you're not bored enough to sit and think, oh my gosh, I'm so lonely, I don't know anybody, and I have no connections. And the thing is, like, also when you think about loneliness, you have like you could tell yourself a million, because I could tell myself definitely, oh, I don't need people, I don't need anything, I get food every day, I get, it's like, yeah, you don't need, but there's some human element to it where actually you do need people, you do need to feel like you belong. Need to belong theory, it's a psychological theory that shows that basically our health is linked to, and just, I don't know, because I'm studying psychology at the moment, so in case anybody doesn't know this and finds it interesting, So in psychology, there's a theory called need to belong, which is a really important theory. And because they test it every so often, they continue to test it in different societies and everything. And basically, how you test it is that there's a huge correlation between mental and physical health and social interaction. So if you have regular positive social interactions, you will have, on average, on the curve or whatever, you will have better mental health and better physical health. The less you have that, the worse your mental health is. So, and this is why in prisons you send people to isolation. It is actually physical things like silent treatment and stuff. These things are physically harmful to us in that we feel it. We really do feel it. And also, there's a lot of science on that, like science. That silent treatment and stuff, we feel it physically. It registers emotionally as a physical wound. As a, I don't know how to put it, but you register physically that you've been hurt and so on. And so yeah, we do have this need to belong. We do have this. We seek attention. We seek validation. All these things are absolutely normal. And I think the more I think about it, when I think about it in terms of loneliness and stuff, I think, at least for me, I don't think that I need like a million connections or anything like that. I think I need maybe three would be, three would be asking me for a lot, I think, in my case, because I have one now. I think I lived my entire life having two, right? Which would have, yeah. And I feel like I lost one of those. So, uh, long story, but, and so I was fine with two. So I believe that I can be totally, totally fine with two if I have two good connections. If if I happen to be super lucky, I think I would have three. But I don't think, in terms of really good connections, that I would go beyond three. Um, but so yeah, I just gonna make this video, gonna upload it because I'm trying to make more YouTube videos to get my voice out there. And then I'm also gonna try to make, yeah, because I don't have anything to do at the moment. I'm studying psychology. I'm doing a dissertation. If anybody happens to watch this video all the way to the end, I may need your help. So I'm doing a dissertation at the moment because I'm doing my master's in psychology, and I have to recruit 5 people. I need 5 people at least, because I have some. I'm gonna take from my family, okay. But I need 5 people to talk to for 1 hour. So I need 1 hour of your time via Microsoft Teams to have an interview on AI chatbots versus humans in terms of relations. So, like when you're talking to an AI chatbot versus talking to a human, what are the differences? What are the similarities? So, I have like lots of questions. So, I have specific questions that I will ask. And if you're interested and can take part, I will like send you all of the questions beforehand, and all of the, you have consent forms and all these things to sign. But if so, it's really it's because it's for my dissertation, but I need to do it to complete it. So if anybody comes across this and is interested in giving me 1 hour of your time to talk about your experiences talking to AI chatbots, we're not expecting that you've had a relationship with AI chatbots, just that you have actually used an AI chatbot like ChatGPT or whatever, even if you've used it for work. It's more about like, what do you imagine the differences are between talking to AI chatbots and humans? What do you imagine the differences would be between an imaginary relationship with an AI chatbot and one with a human? So it's just about how people think, conceptualize, perceive the idea of talking to or having a relationship with AI chatbots versus humans. Anyway, thank you for your time. And this is my video. Thanks for your time. If you want to comment, if you want to talk to me, I'm very open to talking to people. I actually want to use YouTube as a social media outlet, whatever, because I am longing for connection, human connection, and I think that there's also a psychological theory. I guess I'll always be talking in psychological theories now, called media richness, which is, first of all, I think that I have no community. Community is dead, especially for me because I have specific issues why. Um, in that I live where no one speaks my language, and I can learn the other language, but I can't make friends in that. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm going to end it, but I wanted to say with media richness theory, basically the closer you can get to human, like things like if you just type, it's not as media rich. People don't perceive it as human as if you talk. If they hear it in voice, if they see you and talk, it's perceived as more human as well. So I wish for something like social media in YouTube form, so that we have social media where I can talk and meet a person. I guess the Meta will come up with stuff like that eventually, but for now, I'm just trying to use what I have. And if you are someone who listened to this or whatever, like I really would like to connect with you, and talk to you. And if anybody ever wants to come onto my channel, then please let me know. I'm absolutely happy to have people on to sit and talk about anything related to mental health, loneliness, and just life in general, anything.